I had an English teacher when I was in high school called McClelland. So it's kind of like one of those Irish Scottish names that you can trip over really easily.
It's
So,
one of those names. Even my father said it wrong at our wedding. So,
oh no.
everybody gets it wrong. No one can say it.
Oh, what a moment to get it wrong.
I
Oh
know.
goodness.
So embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. So how long have you been writing for?
I've been writing children's books for about 15 years now. So it's only been very recently that I've started being a published author, but as for actually writing stories, it's been about 15 or 16 years now.
I feel like that's the case for a lot of authors. Like we're born writing nearly. We're born with stories that we need to get out and then eventually we become published, but it doesn't ever really equate to the years spent formulating those stories and training for that moment.
Indeed. I was never one of those, kids in school who loved writing or loved writing stories. I didn't want to be a writer when I grew up. It wasn't my dream. I came to it quite late in life. But once I had my kids and they were babies and we were constantly reading picture books, that's when I fell in love. That's when I decided I had this burning desire that I had to be a writer. But yeah, I spent a lot of time getting it wrong, a lot of time writing, submitting, getting rejected before anything happened. So yeah, it's a long haul for many people, me included. JK Rowling, so that makes me feel better,
Absolutely. She was selling books out of the boot of her car when she started.
Yeah, yeah, makes me feel
And
better.
it it's funny. You're the second person this week that I've spoken to that said that they started writing children's books after they started reading to their children. It's like you found that there was a gap in what you wanted your children to see, or what you wanted them to learn, or how you wanted them to learn, and then a story just sort of comes from that.
Yeah, it's I guess I'd forgotten how great picture books were. I'd, forgotten how magical that whole reading with mums and dads and grandparents and kids at bedtime is. And when you start reading a lot of picture books to kids, you remember just how amazing they are. And so I fell in love with the art form all over again. But surprisingly, it was my daughter Kate, she started saying to me at bedtime, make up your own story, mummy. And what, make up your own. I'm like, you're kidding. I thought I had no imagination and could never do it, but I tried. And to my surprise, the things I made up weren't terrible and she loved them. And I just started writing them down and amusing myself with it. And once I started, I couldn't stop.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's so wholesome. So, what are the titles of the books that you've got out?
So my first picture book that came out was Hotel for Bees, and it
Already
was
adorable.
yeah, it's so cute. It's part of the First Five Forever Stories for Little Queenslanders series that the State Library of Queensland
Oh,
published.
wow.
So it was a real thrill and honor to be a part of that, and the book's been really popular. It's terribly cute. The next one after that was Growing Pains, which is about a little boy who gets very curious and worried about a tree. It's all about empathy and kindness. And the third one that's just come out a couple of weeks ago is called Great and Small, and it's a unicorn story about inclusion and diversity. And
Oh, beautiful.
very special. And the unicorn's name is Eunice. She's very cute. And
Eunice the unicorn.
Eunice the unicorn. Yeah, it's just come out. So really excited to be able to finally share that with people.
Oh, wonderful. They sound delightful. They sound so cute.
Yeah, it's so fun getting to write kids' books. I just get the funniest little ideas and the ideas come out of everywhere. Mainly at 4 a.m, the creative magic fairies decide to wake me up and give them to me, which is super fun. So I'm always scribbling things down in a notebook in the middle of the night. But sometimes I get story ideas from my kids. They come from all over the place. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun writing for kids.
I find the 4 a.m. dream is where I get a lot of the most vivid ideas come through. So I'll wake up just randomly, 3, 4 o'clock, and then go back to sleep for about an hour or two, and then have this incredible dream. And I know that if I don't write it down, it's gone forever. So I have to write it down the moment I wake up, and my partner will wake up at about 7, and I'll be on my phone like this with a light coming very blearily down on my face. And I'm like, I have to write about the donkey.
No, my family hate me sometimes because when an idea strikes, I could be in the middle of making dinner or anything, and I'll just like, I have to go do this, and I run to the computer and start typing, and they'll be, wanting my attention, and I'm like, no, go away. Inspiration has struck. You need to leave now. Leave mummy alone. I have to run.
Go away. So, mummy's in focus mode.
He's busy.
Yeah. Oh, I get that so much. This is my office, and I have a string that I put across here, and it has a little notice on it that says the writing demons have possessed me. Don't enter until the exorcism is finished.
I love that. I'm stealing that. That's
great. Oh, you are welcome to steal that. I feel like everyone needs to announce when their writing demons have possessed them.
It's like that. It's like that. And so many people ask me, do you have a writing practice, and do you make sure you write every day for a certain amount of time, or do you have, and I'm like, no. I could go 6 months without writing a word, but then once an idea hits, like, get out of my way, because I'll be obsessed with it for the next 24 hours and will not want to talk to anyone and not want to do anything but write that story. So
yes,
just how it goes.
Yes, I know that feeling, and I've known that feeling all my life. Oh, and have you ever lost a story? Have you ever had one where you were writing on Word, or you had it on paper, and then all of a sudden it goes missing, or it gets deleted, or the computer fries, or anything like that?
No, thank goodness, because that would seriously
okay. I'm touching more wood here.
Yeah. That would make me cry. But I've certainly, ideas have come to me, and if I've stupidly not written them down or run to the computer and made a note or something, and then the next day it's gone. So have lost them, but not had anything deleted or anything. So I try not to make that mistake.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. You know what? I remember many times thinking, which floppy disk, showing my age, which floppy disk did I save this Word document to?
Yeah. I think any stories that are old enough for me to have on a floppy disk probably shouldn't be looked at anyway, because they were probably really bad.
Oh,
My
yeah.
early writing was not good. I thought it was amazing, thought I was writing masterpieces, but if I ever looked at it now, I'd probably be very embarrassed. So yeah, some things have it lost, I think.
Do you still have those sorts of things in your house at all? Yep.
And no one else will ever see them.
I often tease people and say that because I'm renowned for not being able to read fan fiction anymore, but I used to be a voracious writer of it, and I've got a little handwritten notebook from high school that still has one of my completed fan fictions in there, and I tease people and say that if they behave, they'll get to see the embarrassing marks that I left on that page from 15-year-old me.
Now I really want to see that.
Oh no, it's my taunt.
It's the most terrible but fabulous books of all time have been fan fiction. I love it.
I know, and it's really odd because it's kind of like with fan fiction in particular, because everyone should know now that 50 Shades was Twilight fan fiction.
Exactly.
And I think Twilight was fan fiction of something else as well. So it was a
Oh, I didn't know
combination
that.
of a dream and Interview with a Vampire, I think.
Oh,
But Stephanie Meyer is very Mormon, so I don't know why she'd be reading Interview with a Vampire. Um,
yeah. What is that about?
yeah. But then you've also
Okay.
got there's a new movie that came out called After or Ever After or something like that. And that was a One Direction fan fiction.
I've read those. The books weren't awful. The movie was horrific. Like, and 2 hours of my life I'll never get back.
Oh
But
no. At
I
least
didn't mind the
Twilight
book.
had a good soundtrack.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, some of them are better than others.
You know what? I love hearing about fan fiction, but it's very rare that I'm able to read it anymore. I think I only have two people that I can read fan fiction from, and one of them is my editor because she always puts this really dry spin, like dry humor spin on whatever she's writing. And yeah, absolutely. It's just you encapsulated in this whole new world that's got very British humor.
Oh, love that. No one is funnier than the British. So
I don't
yeah.
think so either. I think they've got like you've got things like Blackadder, Monty Python, Black Books, any like honestly, what are some of the other really good ones? Keeping Up Appearances, and
Oh,
then you've got people like Terry Pratchett as well.
exactly. And then not to mention all the movies like, Four Weddings and Funeral and
Mm-hmm.
um, something about them being funny. They just know what they're doing. They're very funny
Mm-hmm.
people.
And I feel like humor itself has it's got a very interesting place in literature as well. It's harder to write humor than what people think. Sometimes you're just naturally funny and something will come off funny that you weren't intending on being funny. But then other times, if you're trying to actively write humor, it takes a lot more practice than if you're trying to write a lot of the other genres.
So much harder. I think particularly with kids' books, trying to make kids laugh, that's a hard gig.
Mm,
I've tried it and I've written several manuscripts that I thought were hilariously funny, but apparently weren't. So everything I've had published has been more, lyrical and beautiful and sweet and everything. But my funny stuff has gone nowhere. So I think writing comedy is a very, very hard thing to do, especially for kids. They have their
writing,
own ideas
yeah,
about what's funny and what isn't. So
yeah. It'd be
yeah.
interesting to write comedy for children because what we think of as funny for children, it could be things like slapstick or puns or that sort of stuff. But I guess what did you find funny as a child? Um,
Mm. I don't remember reading funny books as a kid. Maybe there weren't. I don't remember there being the kind of books that there are around today, like your
yeah.
David Williams and your Ando kind of books. Like there's so many funny books for kids now, and I just don't
I
remember
I wonder
them
if
being
Andy
around back.
Griffith, like Andy Griffiths was like with his like Just Gross or Just Horrible and that sort in that series, it had I don't know, that was very funny. But it had a lot of pictures with it as well, and little comics and things. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting. I would love to know if anyone else is writing comedy for children, what actually makes kids laugh these days? Like, is there a specific thing, or is it really contextual? Is it really what's in the room is what's going to make them laugh? Because something that makes them laugh once may not make them laugh again in a different circumstance.
Exactly. It's almost
Mm,
like you've got to do test runs of things and read them for kid audiences and get their
mm,
opinions because there's just no guessing it. You just don't know
mm.
what's going to work and what isn't. But yeah, I'll keep plugging away at that. I'll keep
Oh.
trying to be funny.
Well, I think as long as you're light and fluffy and delightful, you're hitting the mark of what you want to be hitting.
Yeah, that's true. I tend to gravitate mainly towards writing stories that are about empathy and kindness and care of the environment and
Mm.
diversity and inclusion, that kind of thing. So
Oh,
I
wonderful.
think that's where I'm meant to head anyway. It seems to be what I write the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that sound it's really what kids need these days as well. We're in such a global world, and having empathy and understanding for people that are different from you, and understanding that we are all still human underneath, or unicorns underneath, is it's magical. It's something that I think will bring us all together.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing with writing at the moment. The world is a little bit bleak, let's be
Mhm.
honest. Um, so I think it's more important now than ever for kids to have a million wonderful books to just lose themselves in, because it's much more lovely inside a book than it is inside the real world at the moment, sadly. Hopefully it'll get better soon.
I think with books like that, though, it helps give kids an expectation of what their standards are for what the world should be like. So when they know that being inclusive, when they know that being empathetic is the bottom, that's the bar. That's like the bar on the ground, then they aim to be above that, and they don't settle for things underneath that. And that's
Yeah.
really important too. So you're offering up that example for them to emulate in the real world.
Yeah, so true. And I think you can tell kids till you're blue in the face. Teachers, parents can tell kids you need to be kind, you need to be this. But it's seeing kindness and empathy come alive as a real thing in a story,
Mm,
between different characters, that makes it click, makes them understand what it means to be a good friend, what it means to be kind, rather than just being told all the time, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. But when they see other little characters in books, living that, they get it. And yeah, you're so right. They should get to expect that, that is what their world should look like. And if they
mm,
know what it looks like, they know what to expect. So it is
yeah.
important.
Yeah. No, that sounds beautiful. So telling me a bit about what you will be speaking about at the Writers' Festival in September.
Yeah, so speaking of making people laugh, I am going to be talking about the roller coaster ride that I have been on, over the last 15, 16 years, trying to get published as an author. So my talk is titled "It's a Marathon, Not a Sprint." And
Hmm.
I'll be talking about the fact that for most people, it does take a really long time to get published and be successful as a writer, and that's okay. And this can be what happens to you along the way, and it's normal. Um, and again, it's fine to say to people, you need to be resilient. But what does that actually mean as a writer? So I'm going to give people really practical tips about how they can develop resilience specifically as a writer and develop a growth mindset. So I'm really
Oh,
excited about.
wonderful. That's the motivation a lot of people need as well. And just that setting expectations. I think when we're in high school, reading and writing fan fiction, we
Mhm.
think that we don't we're not told the process of how to become a published author. We're not told what that takes in any real steps. So there's a big disconnect between, in your soul, you want to write, that's your calling, but how do you get there? And everyone's like, oh, become an English teacher, become a journalist. Like, that doesn't equal writing.
No. Yeah, I'm really passionate about helping people know exactly what to do to become published, because it is tricky, and you're right, no one tells you. And I have a lot of people coming to me all the time saying, I've written this book, I'm just not sure what to do next. So I really love helping people to take that next step and figure it all out. But another passion of mine is absolutely encouraging people not to give up, to cling on
Mm.
to that dream, and with the fiery passion, and not let it go. So I get really excited talking about that.
I think it does have a lot to do with your determination to be successful, because you can still be shy and introverted and ask for people to read your book and follow up with people. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage in general to be a writer. Not only are you bearing your soul through the words that you've written and opening yourself up to a myriad of unwelcome criticism, but you're also opening yourself up to so many more opportunities beyond that. And having the courage and resilience to battle through that feeling that's blocking you from being successful. Oh, it's critical. It's absolutely critical.
Yeah. I read this thing once that said that being a creative of any kind is so painful in a way, because yes, you are creating something and putting it out there, and so much can go wrong. It can be criticized or what have you, but and it is so hard to get published, so getting rejected over and over again is hard. But people that are creatives must always remember that something in the universe made them want that, gave them that desire to be a writer. And so it's not an accident that they want to write and they want to get published. They want it for a reason. And so if they have the motivation and the skills to be a writer, they should absolutely never give it up, and they should absolutely go for it, because it's, in some way, it's meant to be. So I think
Yeah,
that gives people courage to keep going.
I think a lot of people resonate with that. When you are a writer, when you are a storyteller, that's all you're going to be satisfied doing. You can take other jobs, but you know that that's not where you're meant to be. That you know that you're meant to be writing, you're meant to be sharing that story because someone needs it.
So true. And actually, my next picture book that comes out next year, it's called Birdie Lights Up the World. And it's almost about that exact topic. It's about, if you have a song to sing, you need to sing it. If you have this gift, you have to share it with the world, whether it brings joy to millions of people or one person, you're meant to share it. So,
Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. You have to keep us posted on the Logan Writers Facebook page to make sure that we get hold of that book, because I feel like every writer's kids will probably will have that book read to them.
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, that
Yeah,
sounds
I hope
so
it'll inspire
beautiful.
people. And the main character is a little penguin, so um, yeah, she's pretty gorgeous, little birdie, and I hope she will inspire lots of little people
Oh,
to share their gifts.
oh, that's so precious. I love it. I love it so much. Thank you so much for joining me today, Alison. This has been beautiful, and I can't wait to see you in September. Where can people find more of you?
Well, I have a cute little website at alisonmclennan.org,
Hmm.
and I'm on Facebook as Alison Mclennan Children's Author. So I would love it if people would follow me and check me out. And I can't wait to meet everybody at the Writers' Festival. I think it's going to be an amazing time. And thank you for having me today. It was really lovely talking to you about books and writing and creativity. It was lovely.
It was great to have you here too. Awesome. So you can find more of Alison at her website, and you can also find her on the 9th and 10th of September at the Logan Writers Festival. So we will see you there. Have a great day. Bye.